Greetings, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFibs.com to bring you the daily trend for end of the month, June 30th, 2016, week 26. We are halfway through the year. As always, we seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only, to support your knowledge in the market. See what's going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. All right, economic platform for the end of the month. That's right, it's been end of the month window dressing, as we see here for Wednesday, June 29th. Wrong day, Thursday. End of the month. We had jobless claims, Red Star event. We had PMI today. Fed speaker up. Really, it's been all about end of the month window dressing, as the last 3 days. What a rally from last week's Brexit votes. Taking a look at the price action today, Thursday, not as great of a day. Again, kind of let things ride a little bit higher today. Bailed a little bit earlier. 129 ticks for 6 setups. Boy, what a drastic change from yesterday's move. Let's take a look at where market highlights here. Again, not bad morning setups here as price action started to come down. We've really been in a rally on larger time frames for the last 3 days, but again, 3 charts in the red. Price action underneath the higher time frames here, giving you a little bit of a move. And price action again not as smooth here on the earlier entries, as price action wasn't on the higher time frames all in sync. But here you had a go here on the ES if you decide to come down. And the NQ, again, a little bit of a struggle here on some of the moves to the downside. But again, once T3 moving averages were downside, once the higher time frames were downside, at least a scalp entry, but stopped out fairly soon. It wasn't till about post, I'd say about 1 hour of the market in session. Price action gave us an opportunity to get back into the long here, as price action on all 3 indices ramping up to the upside, and there was the trade. And that pretty much was the end of the session for me, and just watch the rest of it. Did markets ramp up higher? Absolutely. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. But being able to grab at least trade on each of the indices to the upside. So what were the probabilities? Why was it looking good on the NQ there? We see price action again crossing over just as we saw it to the downside in the early session. Not a gold standard entry here on the NQ, as we have higher time frame crossing only one of the moving averages, but here we have 2, and we have the entry at a pullback, which is not one of my favorites, and only 2 charts in the green. So a little bit higher risk. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but at least I had more going in my direction for probability, and again rode it all the way up till the price action came back down and bailed, and that was it. Taking a look at the ES had a much better picture. Price action again lifting on 3 charts in the green and higher time frames all the way up, and deciding to finally just bail at the tops after price action somewhat chopped here in the mid session. Something we've been working on in the trading room. Again, when things are in trend, things look great on all strategies, but again, price action here in taking a look at the ES chart here. What was the probability that today was a long position? Well, you had to first of all deal with the entries on the downside today. But if you take the the London session, you take the midpoint there, was all long above the level here, just around below the midnight open. You take the midpoint. Price action that lifts up above that. Here's your US open here. I'll take a look at the charts here in a little bit. But the point here is that with price action downside, how could you feel like price action was going to go long today? Well, look at your higher time frames. You match them up. So here on the 20 tick, we're upside. Here on the 15 tick, we're upside. And here in the green square, we got a buy signal on 3 charts in the green. And you can see price action never looked back. Well, why was that probability greater than the probabilities down below? Well, the fact that the first buy signal down here didn't have all charts in sync, and we were below on the higher time frames. This ran up, never looked back, from the fact that the entry to the long had a higher probability today based on the midpoint in the US Open. The US Open was above the midpoint of that London session, giving you the probability that it was in your favor of price action actually going higher today. Something we're just observing, nothing to me, just a theory at this point, but great to watch price action live today in that happening, and when that actual entry actually took that entry there, but decided to exit. As we can see, price action just ramped up much higher today. All right, as we can see, AD line was downside at first, giving those moves downside to the zero line. AD line here halting at the zero, and there it was, the rebound for the remainder of the session. As you can see, a lot of, for the most part these days, price action has given that move, and at first I thought we were just going to plateau, but actually lifting up to the pivot. I thought we might finish out the day there, but we got a little bit of resurgence there at the end. Take a look at the 5-minute chart, starting with the crude. Again, price action pretty quiet on the crude until a little move downside here towards the crude close, heading into a pre-holiday weekend here. And again, all three indices, for the most part, in the beginning of the session, holding to the 25-minute open range, and then bank to the upside. NQ up here to the R1, ES all the way up to R1 as well as the YM. Well, what other levels do we have up there? Well, we'll take a look at that here in a minute. Take a look at the fib levels. How do we do on our fib levels today? Taking a look, let's pull that chart up. There we are. Price action again, target high, hitting all three. What a week. If you've been watching my videos all week, you see we've been doing pretty well to the upside, hitting those targets. And price action drew a fib level here. We can see price action on the Brexit, pre-Brexit vote there last Thursday, so we're post 1 week. And what did we do? We opened up a gap to the downside, 2 days of sell-off, and they're back to the lows on all three charts on the indices. What a move, what a rally on end of the month price action as we lead into July tomorrow. But again, any pullback at this point, you can draw yourself some Fibonacci extension, see if price action is going to come down, at least closing out that gap that we'll take a look here in a little bit. All right, let's jump into the daily charts here. Let's start with the crude. Let's go back here. Taking a look at the crude today. Again, price action pre-market, again, in the downslide, 4 charts in the red. Again, price action in the late afternoon. So not many setups on the crude today. You had a little bit of price action break above the T350 here, but for the most early session, price action was to the downside. So here in the morning session, sell signal on the downside on 2 charts in the red. I pretty much would have stayed away from crude just based on my strategy today. YM, again, we had the lift here. We had the early morning chop, small downside. YM not really moving that much, but again, 4 charts in the red. Might have been a winner, might not have. Took one loss there, only 2 ticks today on the YM. Not too bad. But again, price action lifted back upside with 4 charts in the green and remained to the upside today. YM not as clean as the rest of the NQ and the ES. Here we go on the NQ price action again with those 2 moves downside early session. You might have gotten chopped out of it. If you decide to just wait until price action for the long position, you would have been rewarded much more than to the downside, as price action on the soft pullback here, again mentioned there in the early words here on the chart of 3 charts in the green here at least, catching up with 4 charts in the green. You could have managed this on the way up, bailed early. It didn't matter. It was all upside, holding pretty strong up to the above the T350. A couple points came down a little bit below the T350, but the 50 EMA held up quite well. I probably, if no mulligan trading here, but if I had continued to move this up based on my trade management, once price action crossed the T350, just like I did yesterday, and the 50 EMA, I probably would have bailed at this point and called it a trade. All right, taking a look at the ES, price action on the ES, wonderful move to the upside here. Again, early trading to the downside. Again, pulls up, buy signal on 3 charts in the green, holds up. You could have managed the trade just on swing size low positions. Every time price action pulled back downside, move your stop up minus a couple ticks, and eventually up here as it broke the T350 and the 50 EMA would have called the end. And again, would have called it the end of the day, and pretty much all you got was chop ups at the top. No problem there. Looking at the gold with a nice run at the end of the day. 4 charts in the green here to finish it off, but nothing to speak of. Again, very choppy here. Not giving many ticks, pullbacks, lift up, pullbacks, not many charts in sync. I would have stayed away from the gold as well. And the euro, again, nice move on the euros today, very smooth, not many setups, but when you got a setup, buy signal to the upside, there you go. That was mid-session. Again, pre-session, we had a nice move down, sell signal with 3-4 charts in the red. Another re-entry right down here, back above the T350. And if you're watching multiple time frames, you do much better. Let's go ahead and let me jump to that multiple time frames there, especially on the ES. This was the chart you were looking for in the beginning. Again, I wanted to show you this here on the Sierra charts. Again, first thing is higher time frame here around that 10:40, 11 o'clock hour. You got a price action break upside. Again, you're already moving upside earlier on the lower time frame. But again, there's that. Let me show you that London high. You got the London low. There's your midpoint, 2065.25. There's your midnight open and your U.S. Open. U.S. Open opens above that midpoint, 2065.25. So in theory, if you're watching the chart, you say, all right, look, I'm not going to take anything that's below. I'm going to wait until price action offers me a setup above that 2065. And there was the first setup that you would have had right here at around 1047. You already have the entry here on the higher time frames. So you have reassurance that price action is moving upside. And so you take the entry on the buy signal here, which I did on the ES. But again, decided to bail a little early as price action came up here to the Globex high and the London high and decided to just call it the trade. And again, yeah, lost out. Well, I can't say I lost because I didn't have anything in play. But again, price action really ran up a lot more. Again, either managing it on the lower time frame or watching it on the higher time and just staying in the trend the remainder of the session. So we'll be watching that, watching those levels each day and seeing where price action opens in relation to that level, and then when we have a setup that's in sync, not changing any strategy, but when we have that trade in sync with all the charts, looking for the long, or if it's to the short, we'll look vice versa. So watch for more videos tomorrow and next week and seeing how that progresses. All right, let's jump right into daily gaps. Daily gaps here, price action on the daily gaps, closing out two of the gaps here on the YM, two gaps on the ES. What a week, leaving open gaps below though. So we got open gaps above and below. Crude pretty empty here as we chop away. We got gaps, yep, above and below. 55.41 upside, 40.24 downside. Take a look at the volume profile. YM cruised up to the 600-day VPOC, pretty much settled here. ES again up to 2093.50 almost, and leaving in the wake 42.90, the NQ, and the CL downside 48.30. Again, levels of interest. That was the peak for the price action today. Take a look at the market outlook for tomorrow as we head into the July 4th weekend here in the U.S. We're still in a downward trend on the CL. Price action, even though we've gotten a pullback the last couple days, we still have the 50 below the 144, and we're having a pullback on the T35 here, 50 below the 144. So currently the trend is still downwards, even though in a pullback, as price action still holds above the 50 and the 200 period moving average. Let's jump right into the three indices as we head into tomorrow's session. Again, watching that 5200 as they pretty much merge together. Got to open that up to see them there. But again, good average overall today. Price action on the NQ coming up here to the 5200. What am I looking at for tomorrow? I'm always looking intraday for both directions, as we just mentioned in the multiple time frames. Again, if I'm looking for a move to the upside, I'll want to see where the U.S. Open is in relation to the overnight session and my multiple time frames. Always be ready in both directions, as there was nothing wrong with the setups to the downside. Ticks are ticks at the end of the day. However, if we're looking for the bigger trend right now, still in a downwards trend on all three indices, but price action again, T3 moving averages upside in the whites, as you can see here, indicating that pretty strong price action, holding above the 50 period moving averages, and we'll wait for that 50 to cross above that 144 to be back in a confirmed uptrend. The problem is that it takes not only we get maybe 2-3 days of price action in this chop, as soon as we get this long sweeping move back to the upside. Again, pretty strange price action as we get this huge move down and right back upside to the lows from last Thursday. So we have yet to see price action follow through tomorrow. We'll see price action on low trading session on Monday, a holiday here, and then back in the groove on Tuesday to see, is the trend really going to hold up here? Right now, probability is that as long as the pullback is strong up here, you can draw your trend lines, whatever studies you have. The price probability right now is moving to the upside. Hasn't confirmed in an upwards trend because my 50 is still below the my 144, and I stick to that all the time to watch where I have a confirmed trend again. So looking ahead to tomorrow, I'd look again. I look to the daily gaps upside to see if we'll close out at least the next levels up, and then I'll look to the daily big pick up here to see if price action holds above the 50 EMA. Watch to see if the NQ can hold above the 144. Watch that overnight session as we head into tomorrow. So kind of imbalanced right now as the pullback in a confirmed downward trend is still holding. So can't put any probability that price will continue higher unless that 50 gets above that 144. If price continues, that 50 breaks above that 144, pulls back, finds the resistance on the 5144 and bounces back upside, that will be even stronger. So yet to see what lies ahead. All right, as we head into tomorrow, again, economic data, a little bit light, not too bad, PMI, ISM, and then we head into the holiday weekend. All right, that concludes an insight into the daily trend. Feel free to stop by at tradingfibs.com or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. My trading mantra of one simple strategy: any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined. You find me every day on Twitter at TradingFibs, and as always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. I only trade what's in front of me and on my charts, and as always, leave your bias at the door when trading. Have yourselves a blue zone day wherever you may be. Good day, good night, and good trading.